Hello everyone. In the combat robot world, the transmitter or the radio is one of the most important but also least talked about aspects of the hobby itself. We always talk about the motors, the ESCs, and everything else, but we rarely talk about the radios. So I'd like to start a multi-part series where I kind of explain all the little intricacies of radios, what you need to know, how you need to configure them, and all that good stuff. And so I figured I'd start out with the most important aspect of the radio, which is the custom turn-on sound. So let's see how we add a custom turn-on sound or a custom triggered sound to any OpenTX radio, and I will be using the Taranis QX7 and the QX7S as an example. So let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do with your radio is make sure that you have a micro SD card installed. You just kind of open this flap at the bottom, and right kind of here in the middle, there's a little card that pops out, and that is your micro SD card, and this is what holds all the sounds. You can't put the sounds anywhere else except for on the micro SD card. Now, if you don't have any of the sounds on there, or you need to go out and purchase a micro SD card, check out the link below down in the description. It leads you to OpenTX, and there are some downloads, and you can download the full sound pack for the radio. So now let's assume that you have the micro SD card, you have the sound pack installed, and then we turn on the radio, and it sounds a little something like this.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Boring. We're going to change that to something a little bit better. So let's turn off the radio and pull out the SD card. Okay, so once you put the SD card into your computer, this is what you'll see. And so we want to navigate over to Sounds, choose the language that you want. I'm going to be, of course, using English. Then go to System, and if we scroll down, we should see a hello.wave. And of course, as you can see, I have a few others because I'm doing this video, but this is the one that will play when you start up the radio. So this is the one that we're going to be modifying, I guess. So you want to go over into Audacity or your favorite sound editing program. Now, the reason that we're in here is because the files have to be somewhat specific so that they work on the radio. So I've downloaded an MP3 from the internet's demo sound. We're going to go ahead and open this up. There is the waveform. I'm going to do a couple little things here that, is optional. You don't really need to do. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. I'm just going to cut it right there, hit delete. Now, the thing that you're going to want to do is you might want to do a little bit of tweaking with the file to make sure that it plays properly. And first thing I'm going to do is, this is a pretty quiet wave file. As you can see here, it's relatively quiet. There's just not a lot of amplitude. So I'm going to select all. All you do is hit Control A. That selects everything. We're going to go over to Effects, and we're going to go to Amplify. We don't want to have it clipped, so that all looks good. We'll hit OK. Now it's a little bit louder. That will be fine. The next thing that you need to do is make sure that you set the project rate to 32K. 32 right there. For some reason, the OpenTX and the Taranis models can't support a 44.1, which is standard sample rate. You need to downsample it to 32K. So that is very important. The last thing we're going to do is go into, where was it? Tracks. And you're going to go to Mix, and we're going to go from stereo down to mono. You really don't need a stereo file. And I found that stereo files kind of screw with things a little bit here. So let's just do this. Select it down to mono. Great. Now all we have to do is go File, Export, Export as a wave, and then we can just go ahead and navigate down to Hello, hit Save, Overwrite, hit OK, and then we are good to go. Now when we put this SD card into the radio, it will start up with our new fancy sound. Okay, so we put the micro SD card back into the radio, so let's go ahead and turn it on and see what happens.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
So there we go. The sound is on there. Everything works. It sounds crystal clear and beautiful. So the next step is to show you how to use any one of the physical switches on the radio to trigger a custom sound. So now we have a custom sound for when the radio turns on. Let's see if we can make a track play when we hit one of the switches on the radio. So from the main screen, you want to hit the little hamburger in the middle here, click on that, then go over to page 10 by using the page button. And this will be specific to each model that you have, so just be aware of that. 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got a couple things set up here for the trainer, not really important. We're going to go down to an empty line. We're going to hit this button. This is going to be essentially the condition. This is going to be the trigger. So we're going to go ahead and hit the switch over here. I'm going to use this one. And then while holding it, hit enter. And what's kind of cool is when you do this, whatever state that switch is in, so if I edit this again and hit another switch, it will be the state that the switch is in, which makes it really easy. You don't have to memorize which one is which. So we're just going to hold that again. Cool. Now we're going to go over to this. This is actually the thing that it's doing. We're going to hit enter and we're going to scroll to play sound, or I'm sorry, play track. There's play sound and play track. We want play track. Play track will play a specific track that we've loaded. Now the same rules still apply. The file still has to be 32 kilohertz, 16-bit PCM mono. So keep that in mind. All the things that we did earlier in Audacity are still going to apply to this track. Now when we go over here, you can see a list of files. Now these are all the files that are in that base directory on the SD card. So when we put in the SD card, it was dash sounds, and then there was system. This is going to be the base directory. So I've got a demo down here, so I'm going to go ahead and hit select, and then that is all good. And we hit exit. Now we're out of this, and we can just go ahead and exit again if we want. And if we hit this, awesome. So yeah, that is how you set up custom sounds on your Taranis OpenTX radio. So if you followed my channels and you've watched all of my videos, I think this is pretty much the last piece of information that you need to go and build a heavyweight and compete and probably win BattleBots, to be quite honest with you. But in all seriousness, I will continue doing these radio videos. I know there's a few others that I have on my list. I want to do some radio mixing. I want to do kind of progressive mixes, things like that. You know, the whole tank steering thing. And I also want to cover the whole trainer setup, so that you can use two of these radios, one for the weapon and one for the drive, which is my preferred setup that I use, and that's why I have two radios. So if you want to see other videos beyond that, or if you have specific questions, please post down in the comments. I can't promise I'll get to these anytime soon, but I do plan on releasing some more of these videos throughout the year, so be sure to put your suggestions down below. As always, thanks for watching. Check out my Facebook page for any updates to my channel, and if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please consider subscribing. And thanks for watching. See you next time.